The movie starts off with what seems to be a fight breaking out in a car. Riley North is engaged in a knife battle with a criminal who stabs her in the leg. She wins control and puts a gun to his head. He simply responds with a defiant "fuck you," before Riley blows his head off when Riley asks him whether he remembers her. In order to hide, Riley goes to a poor neighborhood in the slums. She goes inside her van, takes a first aid box to take care of her wounded leg. She eats some cookies and drink as she continues her self-medication. 5 years ago, Riley is seen with her daughter Carly North after a confrontation with Peg. Riley and Carly visited Chris North, who is Riley's husband and Carly's father. Unbeknownst to Riley, Chris is setting up some sort of shady deal with his coworker Mickey. Even though it is Carly's birthday, Riley is instructed to stay extra hours at the bank she works when she reports for duty late. Riley arrives at her house to celebrate Carly's birthday but finds her and Chris disappointed that no one showed up since Peg hosted a Christmas party out of spite and invited all the other kids and left a voicemail to tease Riley and Carly. To prevent Carly from continuing to feel disappointed, Riley recommends that they all go the Christmas carnival. The family departs while being observed by a gangbanger. He dials Diego Garcia, his boss, who is the cartel's leader. Mickey, who was evidently attempting to steal from Garcia with Chris's assistance, is currently being tortured by Garcia. Just before decapitating Mickey, Garcia tells his men to follow Chris. The North family has a good time at the carnival and finishes the evening with ice cream. 3 gangbangers pull up to Chris and Carly as they are returning to the car and shoot them. Riley is shot as well. In the hospital, Riley awakens and meets Detective Stan Carmichael. Riley is utilized to locate the gangbangers. Due to their facial tattoos, she can identify all 3 of them. Riley is then visited in her house by Mr. Henderson, a lawyer. Mr. Henderson discovers Riley is taking some medication. She kicks him from her home. Riley is called to the stand to provide evidence against the gangbangers, but Henderson tries to use the medicine situation against her by claiming that she was mentally unfit to recall them. Riley loses the case, and Judge James Stevens dismisses the murder charges. Carmichael jumps into the ambulance to accompany Riley as she is being transported away to a mental hospital, but Riley grabs an oxygen tank, hits Carmichael across the head, and then exits the vehicle, disappearing. In the present day, Carmichael joins up with Moises Beltran, his companion, as they discover the 3 killers' bodies hanging upside down from a Ferris wheel. Riley visits Judge Stevens' house, beats him, and nails his hands to the table before tying him up. She makes sure he recognizes her and warns him that rope he is tied with is explosive. Riley boards a bus before detonating the rope and blowing Stevens up. Carmichael and Beltran meet with colleague Detective Inman to discuss their suspicion that Riley is responsible for these killings. After the trial, Riley robbed her bank and stole military-grade weapons from a warehouse before disappearing. Before entering the piñata shop, Riley assassinates the 2 guys outside. All the guys inside are killed during the ensuing gunfight, with the exception of Marvin. After telling Riley what happened to Garcia, Marvin is killed for telling Riley everything. Garcia plans for his men to lure Riley to a warehouse in order to get rid of her. She discovers a bomb there and runs for cover just as Garcia's men set off the device, destroying the entire structure. Riley escapes through the sewers and stole a vehicle from someone else so she can pursue the men. She manages to catch up with them, kill them, and then drive to Garcia's house. Before Riley reaches Garcia, she murders the majority of the men in the room. Garcia's daughter, who appears to be the same age as Carly was when she was murdered, enters the room just as Riley has her gun pointed at Garcia. Riley is stabbed in the side by Garcia, who then escapes with his men and daughter. Inman visits the slums to carry out her investigation there. Carmichael meets her there. Carmichael proves himself to be dishonest and shoots Inman dead just as she is about to realize that someone in the police department is serving as an informant to Garcia. Carmichael and Garcia have a meeting in the slum. Riley discovers Inman's body and uses her phone to record a live video that is broadcast on live television. Riley exposes Carmichael and Garcia for the scumbags they are as Garcia and his men congregate. She invites the police and the media to the area. Then Garcia uses a walkie-talkie to summon Riley outside and warns her to come out or he'll kill a young girl from the area. Riley gives up and walks over to Garcia. Just prior to the arrival of the cops, he begins to beat Riley. Garcia shoots Carmichael dead, believing that he set him up. Garcia tries to run away, but Riley catches up to him as his men are taken into custody. The police are drawing their guns on her as she points her gun at him. Riley is urged by Beltran not to shoot Garcia. Riley shoots him in the head after saying, "We're not going to prison," and the cops retaliate. Riley escapes, but Beltran claims to know her location. Riley was found by the police at Chris and Carly's grave in the cemetery. As Beltran draws near, she begins to sob. Riley believes she is prepared to die there, but Beltran disagrees. The news states that Riley is in the hospital and that although the public views her as a brave vigilante, the authorities have stated that Riley will be held accountable for her actions. Riley is able to take off her handcuffs and make another break for freedom when Beltran enters her room and slips a key into her hands.